Buick has never been a brand that shouts, even in its most ambitious moments. There's always been a preference for measured confidence over spectacle, and the new Electra E7 feels very much in that tradition, at least on the surface. Look a little closer, though, and what Buick is preparing to bring to the Chinese market is genuinely ambitious, in ways that the restrained exterior doesn't immediately give away. This is a vehicle with a refrigerator in the back seat, a 20-speaker Dolby Atmos audio system, a plug-in hybrid powertrain rated for over 994 miles of combined range, and a suspension that recalibrates itself 200 times per second. Understated it may be in appearance, but the Electra E7 is clearly trying to make a serious impression. The car is designed specifically for China, which is important context for almost every decision that went into building it. The Chinese automotive market has moved faster and further than almost any other in the world when it comes to electric and hybrid vehicles, in-car technology, and passenger-focused luxury features. Buyers there expect more from their cars, particularly in the back seat, and the competition from domestic brands has forced every international automaker operating in that market to raise its game considerably. The Electra E7 reads as Buick's response to that pressure, a vehicle built from the ground up around what Chinese consumers actually want rather than what Buick's existing global lineup happens to offer. From the outside, the design is contemporary without being aggressive. The front end is built around what Buick describes as a shark nose profile, a forward-leaning shape that gives the car a sense of motion even when it's standing still. The lighting arrangement is split across two levels. Slim C-shaped daytime running lights sit at the upper corners of the front fascia, while the primary headlamp units are positioned lower in the bumper in an L-shaped configuration. It's an arrangement that's become increasingly common in the Chinese market, where distinctive lighting signatures have become one of the main ways brands communicate personality and modernity. A central air intake sits between the lower lamps, and it appears to include an active shutter grille that opens and closes depending on cooling needs and aerodynamic conditions. The sides of the car favor smooth, flowing surfaces over sharp creases or dramatic character lines. Plastic body cladding runs along the lower sections, adding a subtle suggestion of ruggedness without pushing the design into proper off-road territory. The wheel arches are pronounced enough to give the car a planted, confident stance, and the door handles are flush with the bodywork, which both cleans up the visual flow along the side and reduces aerodynamic drag at speed. Metallic accents appear at various points across the exterior, providing enough contrast to keep things from feeling anonymous without drawing unnecessary attention to themselves. Around the back, the taillights are probably the most distinctive design element on the entire car. Buick calls them Galaxy Wing units, which is the kind of product name that can either feel earned or overwrought depending on how the finished article looks. And from the available images, they appear to earn it. The lights stretch across the rear of the vehicle and create a striking visual signature when illuminated, particularly at night. A roof spoiler extends above the rear glass, adding a hint of sportiness and contributing to aerodynamic stability at highway speeds. In terms of size, the Electra E7 sits comfortably in the mid-size crossover category. Overall length comes in at 190.9 inches or 4,850 millimeters, with a wheelbase of 112.2 inches. To give those numbers some context, the car is about 8.2 inches longer than the Buick Envision and considerably shorter than the Enclave, placing it in a segment that currently lacks a dedicated Buick offering in China. The wheelbase in particular is generous for the class, which directly benefits rear seat space in a market where rear seat space is taken very seriously indeed. The interior is where the Electra E7 makes its clearest statement about who it's designed for and what it's designed to do. The overall aesthetic is minimalist in the sense that the layout is clean and uncluttered, but it's not the cold, sparse minimalism of a car that's stripped back for simplicity's sake. It's more the kind of minimalism that exists to make room for things that matter. And in this case, what matters is a large 15.6-inch infotainment display mounted in a tablet-style configuration at the center of the dashboard, a freestanding digital instrument cluster ahead of the flat-bottom steering wheel, and a cabin finished in Okotex-certified fabrics with genuine metal accents on the surfaces you actually touch. A dual wireless charging pad is integrated into the center console, which at this point feels less like a feature and more like a basic expectation for any vehicle in this segment. The ambient lighting is handled in enough subtlety to enhance the atmosphere without making the cabin feel like a nightclub, which is a balance that more expensive cars sometimes fail to strike. The overall feeling inside is of a space that has been put together thoughtfully by people who had a clear picture of what they wanted it to be, rather than assembled from a catalog of available options. In the rear, the Electra E7 goes considerably further than most of its competitors. There's a 15.6-inch entertainment display mounted in the ceiling above the back seats, which is the kind of feature that transforms long journeys for passengers in a way that no amount of extra legroom quite replicates. The built-in refrigerator is perhaps the most telling detail in the entire car, because it signals very clearly that Buick understands its rear seat buyers in this market and is taking their expectations seriously. This isn't a token cool box tucked into an armrest. It's a proper refrigerator, the kind of amenity you'd expect in a business class cabin or a high-end executive vehicle. Rear passengers also have dedicated climate controls, a reclining seat back, heated and ventilated seating, and fold-out tray tables that provide a practical surface for working or eating during longer trips. The dual glass roofs bring natural light into both rows of the cabin, and the sense of openness they create makes the interior feel considerably larger than the external dimensions might suggest. When you add the fact that the front seats can fold completely flat to create a large open area that rear occupants can use to stretch out or recline, what you end up with is a rear compartment that functions more like a mobile lounge than a conventional back seat. For the buyers Buick is targeting with this vehicle, that's not a nice-to-have, it's a core part of the proposition. The audio system is a 20-speaker setup with Dolby Atmos support. 20 speakers in a car is a number that sounds excessive until you actually experience a well-implemented Atmos system in an enclosed space, at which point it starts to feel obvious. Buick has clearly decided that half measures on the entertainment front won't be competitive in this market, and the specification suggests a genuine commitment to getting the audio experience right rather than simply listing impressive numbers in a brochure. Underneath all of this, the powertrain is a plug-in hybrid system built around a 1.5-liter petrol engine producing 97 horsepower and an electric motor delivering 221 horsepower. Energy storage comes from a lithium iron phosphate battery pack, a chemistry that prioritizes durability and safety over peak energy density and has become increasingly common in Chinese market vehicles over the past few years. The combined range figure of more than 994 miles under the CLTC testing cycle is the headline number. And while CLTC figures are measured under conditions that tend to favor optimistic results, the underlying capability is still substantial. More useful for daily drivers is the electric-only range of more than 130 miles, which is enough for most commuting patterns to be handled entirely on battery power without touching the petrol engine at all. It's worth noting that the specifications currently on record from China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology likely represent just one configuration of what could eventually be a broader lineup. Different battery capacities, motor outputs, and drivetrain layouts may follow, allowing Buick to address a wider range of buyer preferences and price points within the Electra E7 family. For now, the baseline specification gives a clear enough picture of what the car is trying to do and where it sits in the market. The chassis technology is equally sophisticated. The adaptive damping suspension adjusts its behavior up to 200 times per second in response to changing road conditions, which is a level of continuous refinement that allows the car to feel genuinely composed both on smooth motorways and on the less predictable urban surfaces that make up the majority of driving in Chinese cities. That real-time adaptability means the car doesn't have to make the usual compromises between ride comfort and handling stability. It can genuinely try to deliver both at once, and at 200 adjustments per second, it has the processing speed to get reasonably close. Driver assistance comes through the Xiaoyao Jixing autonomous driving system, designed to function across both highway and urban environments. The system handles the kinds of tasks that have become standard expectations in this segment, including lane centering, adaptive cruise control, and navigation through typical traffic situations, using the usual combination of cameras, sensors, and software to build a picture of what's happening around the car and respond accordingly. The official debut is still ahead, and full pricing and market availability details will come with it. But based on what's already known, the Electra E7 is a vehicle with a specific audience in mind and a very clear understanding of what that audience expects.
Buick has built a car that takes the rear seat experience seriously, loads it with technology that feels considered rather than gratuitous, pairs it with a powertrain capable of handling most driving needs on electricity alone, and wraps it in a design that communicates premium without trying too hard. In a market as competitive and demanding as China's, that's a combination that deserves to be taken seriously.